The sharp crack of glass hitting the mahogany bar top echoed through the anchor like a gunshot. Lieutenant Jake Patterson's laughter followed, cutting through the Friday night noise of 50-plus Navy SEALs celebrating another brutal training week completed. Jordan Briggs didn't flinch. She sat at the corner of the bar, 5'3" of apparent insignificance in an oversized navy hoodie and faded jeans, nursing a glass of water like it was the only thing keeping her grounded. Her auburn hair fell loose around freckled cheeks that made her look fresh out of college, maybe 21 on a good day. Nobody in this room would guess 29. Nobody would guess anything true about her. The anchor bar sat 3 blocks from Coronado Naval Base, close enough to feel official, far enough to let operators pretend they were civilians for a few hours. Worn leather booths lined the walls beneath photographs of SEAL teams dating back to Vietnam. The smell of beer and testosterone hung thick in the air, mixed with salt from the nearby Pacific. Patterson stood 6'1", built like someone who lived in the gym between deployments. His blonde high and tight caught the light as he turned toward Jordan's corner, blue eyes scanning her with the kind of dismissive assessment she'd seen 1,000 times. His trident tattoo flexed on his forearm as he raised his beer. "Hey, sweetheart," Patterson's voice carried across the bar. "Does your mom know you're out this late?" The surrounding tables erupted, 40 phones lifted like a reflex, everyone wanting to capture whatever came next. Jordan kept her eyes on her water glass, watching condensation slide down the sides. She'd come here because her team used to celebrate at the anchor after training. She'd wanted to feel close to them. Now she wondered if that was a mistake. Rachel Hunt, the bartender, glanced at Jordan with something like recognition, but couldn't quite place it. She'd worked here 5 years, served thousands of SEALs, but something about this quiet woman triggered instincts she couldn't name. The way Jordan sat, the way her eyes tracked the room, there was method in it. Patterson moved closer, emboldened by the audience. His 2 closest teammates followed, Chief Petty Officer Rex Dawson, a wall of muscle at 6 feet even with the kind of shaved head that made civilians nervous, and Petty Officer First Class Tyler Hammond, wiry and redheaded, bouncing on his toes like he couldn't hold still. "I'm talking to you." Patterson stopped 3 feet from Jordan's stool. "You look a little young to be in here. Let me see some ID." Jordan reached into her pocket slowly, pulled out a military common access card, slid it across the bar without a word. Patterson picked it up, studied it with exaggerated skepticism. "Military dependent," he read the basic information aloud, deliberately skipping over details he didn't understand. "So, which SEAL is babysitting you tonight? Where's Daddy?" Dawson leaned against the bar. "Probably some Pog's daughter trying to meet real operators. We get them in here every weekend." In the corner booth, Master Chief Daniel Walsh looked up from his drink. 47 years old, weathered face mapped with 26 years of service, gray creeping into his temples. He'd been DevGru before injuries moved him to Bud's instruction. His eyes narrowed watching Jordan's posture. Something was wrong. That wasn't how civilians sat. Her back stayed straight, shoulders at perfect 90 degrees to the bar. Her left hand rested on her water glass, but her right hung at her side, positioned exactly where someone would carry a sidearm. Her feet were planted, weight distributed like she was ready to move in any direction. Walsh leaned toward the young corpsman at his table. "Doc Martinez, you see her positioning?" Lisa Martinez, 24 and fresh to Coronado, followed his gaze. "Sir?" "Watch how she's sitting. That's not normal." Hammond circled around Jordan's other side, completing the box. "You know what I think? I think you're one of those SEAL groupies, coming in here with your military ID, hoping some operator will—" "Hammond," Walsh's voice cut across the bar. Not loud, but carrying weight. "Stand down." Hammond glanced back. "Master Chief, we're just—" "I know what you're doing. Stop it." Patterson waved dismissively. "With respect, Master Chief, this isn't Bud's. You don't give orders here." Jordan's phone vibrated on the bar. The screen lit up. Blocked number. She declined the call without looking, brought the water glass to her lips with steady hands. Not a tremor, not a flinch, just unsettling calm that made the hair on Walsh's neck stand up. At least answer when someone talks to you. Patterson leaned against the bar. What's your name? Where are you from? Who's your sponsor on base? Silence. Jordan set her glass down, aligned it precisely on the coaster. Her green eyes stayed forward. Dawson laughed, a deep rumble. She's scared speechless. This is pathetic. Maybe she doesn't speak English, his answer. Hey, do you understand me? He waved his hand in front of her. Jordan's eyes tracked the movement with precision that made Walsh sit forward. That was threat assessment. That was combat awareness. He'd seen it 10,000 times in operators, never in civilians. Leave her alone. Doc Martinez stood at her table. Her voice shook slightly, but held. Patterson turned. Sit down, Corporal. This doesn't concern you. I'm just saying, maybe we should... You're just saying nothing. Dawson stepped toward Martinez. You're going to sit down and let us handle this situation. Martinez sat, fists clenched on the table. Walsh put a hand on her shoulder. Easy, Doc. Pick your battles. Jordan's phone buzzed again. Same blocked number. She declined again. Patterson grabbed her wrist as she reached for her water. Hold on. You're going to look at me when I'm talking to you. The bar went quiet. 50 pairs of eyes watched. Jordan turned her head slowly, met Patterson's gaze with eyes that held something he didn't recognize. Not fear, not anger, something older and colder. Walsh stood up. Patterson, I'm asking you, one more time, step back. Why? Patterson didn't release Jordan's wrist. What's wrong with asking questions? If she belongs here, she can explain herself. If she doesn't... Jordan's hand moved. Not aggressive, just technical. A simple rotation, pressure on specific points, and Patterson's grip broke like he'd grabbed air. He stumbled back, shocked. What the hell was that? Jordan picked up her water glass. That was me asking you to stop touching me. Her voice was soft, southern accent coloring the edges. Georgia, maybe Alabama. But the tone carried something that 3 nearby SEALs unconsciously stepped back. Hammond recovered first, forcing a laugh. Oh, she speaks, and she knows some basic self-defense. Cute. Dawson examined his teammate. Patterson, you okay? Yeah. Patterson rubbed his wrist, ego bruised more than flesh. She just got lucky. Probably took one of those weekend Krav Maga courses. Thinks she's tactical now. Rachel, the bartender, leaned across the bar toward Jordan. You okay, honey? I'm fine, thank you. Walsh was moving now, crossing the bar. Everyone back up. This is done. It's not done. Patterson blocked his path. Master Chief, with respect, you're an instructor. I don't answer to you outside training grounds. This woman walked into a SEAL bar. She's acting suspicious, and I'm within my rights. Within your rights to what? Walsh's voice dropped to the tone that made Bud's candidates freeze. Harass someone you think can't defend herself? The bar's front door opened. A lieutenant junior grade from Shore Patrol stood in the entrance. Someone had called in a disturbance. This was escalating beyond bar drama into something with consequences. Jordan stood slowly. Even at 5'3", something about her movement made the circle around her widen. I'm leaving. There's no problem here. There is a problem. Patterson stepped into her path. You're not military. That dependent ID doesn't give you access to this bar. These establishments are for operators and their families, not. Her phone rang again. This time the caller ID showed VADM Cross. Vice Admiral. Patterson was close enough to read it. His face showed confusion, then dismissal. Nice try with the fake contact, as if an admiral would. Jordan answered. Ma'am, I'm sorry, I'm in the middle of something. A woman's voice, sharp and authoritative, carried through the speaker clearly enough for surrounding operators to hear. Commander Briggs, I need you at NSW Command in 20 minutes. We have a situation that requires your immediate attention. Understood. En route. Jordan hung up. The bar had gone absolutely silent. Patterson's mouth opened, closed, opened again. Did she just call you Commander? Master Chief Walsh hand rose to his forehead in an unconscious salute. He caught himself, lowered it, but the damage was done. His body knew before his brain confirmed. Master Chief? Dawson's voice cracked. Why did you just... Because, Walsh's voice was hollow, I think we just made a very serious mistake. Jordan reached for her hoodie draped across the bar stool. Patterson's hand shot out, not grabbing this time, but blocking her path. His face had shifted from cocky to desperate, the kind of expression men got when they realized they'd stepped into something they couldn't back out of gracefully. "Wait, hold on. That phone call, that was just coincidence. You probably have a friend pranking." "Move, Lieutenant." Jordan's voice remained soft, but something in it made Hammond take 2 steps backward. The shore patrol officer, Lieutenant Junior Grade Wilson, pushed through the crowd. "What's the situation here?" Patterson spun toward him, grasping for authority. "Sir, we have a civilian impersonating military personnel. She's got some kind of fake credentials and—" "Show me your identification." Wilson extended his hand toward Jordan. She produced her CAC again. Wilson examined it under the bar light, his expression shifting as he read details Patterson had glossed over. His eyes widened at the clearance level notation. "This says Lieutenant Commander, Naval Special Warfare Group." Wilson's voice carried confusion. "But the clearance code, I've never seen this designation. Ma'am, I need to verify." "Call the number on that card." Jordan pulled her hoodie on. "They'll confirm whatever you need to know." Dawson moved closer to Patterson, voice low but audible in the silent bar. "Jake, did you hear what that admiral called her? Commander Briggs, not dependent. Commander." "It's a mistake." Patterson's voice lacked conviction. Some kind of confusion with— Wilson was speaking into his radio. "Base security, I need verification on CAC number 7734-9021-3357. Static, then a young voice crackling back. "Stand by." Pause. "Sir, that number is flagged. I'm showing restricted access protocols. The system won't let me pull the full file without—" "What kind of restricted access?" "It says contact NSW command immediately for verification. And there's a notation, do not detain under any circumstances without direct authorization from—" the voice paused, "from Sec-Def level or higher." The blood drained from Patterson's face. Secretary of Defense level authorization. That wasn't standard military clearance. That was something else entirely. Hammond's nervous energy evaporated. What the hell does that mean? Master Chief Walsh had moved to Jordan's other side, not quite protective, but definitely positioning himself between her and the 3 Team 3 operators. "It means you boys just harassed someone so far above your pay grade you can't see the top." "That's impossible." Patterson's voice rose. "She's what, 25? Nobody gets that kind of clearance that young. Nobody." "I'm 29, Jordan said quietly, "and I'd appreciate it if you'd let me leave." Rachel the bartender set a glass down with deliberate force. "She's been sitting here 40 minutes, ordered water, didn't bother a single person. You 3 made this situation, not her." Doc Martinez stood again, emboldened by Walsh's positioning. "I tried to tell you to back off." "You don't know what you're talking about, Corporal," Dawson snapped, but his heart wasn't in it. His eyes kept drifting to Jordan's posture, reassessing everything he'd dismissed. The TV mounted behind the bar switched to evening news. Aerial footage of military exercises, paratroopers deploying from transport aircraft. Jordan glanced at it reflexively, and something flickered across her face before the mask returned. "HAHO insertion," she said to no one in particular. 25,000 feet, maybe higher. Wind patterns suggest Fort Bragg airspace. Rachel froze mid-wipe of the bar. "How do you know that?" "The canopy deployment pattern and glide angle, it's distinct from Halo." Jordan caught herself. "Or so I've read." Patterson latched onto it like a lifeline. "See, she's studied this stuff, watched videos, read manuals. That doesn't make her—" "HAHO glide angles aren't in manuals available to civilians," Walsh interrupted. "That's operational knowledge, the kind you get from doing it, not reading about it." Wilson was still on his radio. "Base security, what exactly does this flag mean? Can you give me any details about—" "Negative, sir. The file is compartmented. I literally can't access it. You need to contact Rear Admiral Cross directly for any information regarding this individual." Jordan's phone rang again. Different tone this time, sharp and insistent. She glanced at the screen, and for the first time, her composure cracked slightly. Something like resignation crossed her face. "I have to take this." She stepped toward the bar's side exit. Patterson moved to block her again. Walsh's hand clamped on his shoulder. "Don't." "Master Chief, she could be what, Lieutenant? A spy? A threat? With clearance levels that require SecDef authorization?" Walsh's grip tightened. "Use your brain. What's more likely? She's a threat, or you just publicly humiliated someone who could end your career with a phone call?" Jordan answered her phone halfway to the exit. "Sir, this really isn't a good time." A man's voice, deep and carrying authority even through the small speaker. "Commander Briggs, Admiral Cross informs me you're at the anchor bar dealing with a situation. I'm 10 minutes out. Do you require immediate assistance?" The bar had gone silent enough that 20 operators heard it clearly. "No, sir, I can handle." "The hell you can. Stay there. That's an order." The line went dead. Jordan stood with her back to the room, shoulders tight in a way they hadn't been before. When she turned around, her eyes found Walsh first. "Master Chief, you should probably get these men out of here before." "Before what?" Patterson's voice had gone hollow. "Who was that?" Wilson's radio cackled again. "All units, be advised. SDEF motorcade en route to Coronado. ETA 8 minutes. Maintain clear access to the anchor bar area until further notice." Hammond sat down heavily on a bar stool. "Secretary of Defense. The actual Secretary of Defense is coming here. This is insane." Dawson looked at Patterson. "Jake, what do we do?" "We stay." Walsh's voice cut through their panic. "You made this situation. You're going to face it." Doc Martinez approached Jordan cautiously. "Ma'am, are you okay? I mean, really?" "I'm fine, Corporal. Thank you for trying to intervene earlier. That took courage." "I should have done more." "You did what you could with the rank you have. That matters." Outside, the sound of heavy vehicles approaching. Multiple engines, the distinctive rumble of security details moving with purpose. The bar's front windows showed black SUVs pulling into the parking lot, far more than necessary for a simple visit. Rachel moved down the bar toward Jordan. "Honey, I don't know what's happening here, but I want you to know I never doubted you belonged." "You didn't know me." "No, but I've worked here 5 years. I know what operators look like. And you?" She gestured vaguely. "You move like them, sit like them, watch the room like them. I couldn't place it, but I knew." Patterson had gone pale. "If the SecDef is coming, and he's coming for her, that means she's way above your rank," Walsh finished. "Yeah, Lieutenant, that's exactly what it means." The bar door opened. 2 men in suits entered first, scanning the room with professional efficiency. Secret Service, unmistakable in their movements. They cleared the entrance, spoke into wrist microphones. A man in his early 60s, tall and distinguished, with gray hair and the bearing of someone who'd spent decades in uniform before the suit. James Thornton, Secretary of Defense, looked around the anchor bar like he was inspecting a combat zone. His eyes found Jordan immediately. "Commander Briggs," not a question, a statement of fact. Every SEAL in the bar snapped to attention reflexively. Even drunk, even off-duty, they couldn't help it. Patterson's hand shook at his side. Jordan came to attention as well, different from the others, sharper, more precise. "Sir, why didn't you answer my first 3 calls?" "I was attempting to avoid creating a situation, sir." Thornton looked around the bar, taking in the phones, the frozen operators, the shore patrol officer standing awkwardly with his radio. "How'd that work out?" "Not well, sir." Secretary Thornton turned to Lieutenant Wilson, who looked like he wanted to disappear into the floor. "Your shore patrol?" "Yes, sir. Lieutenant Junior Grade Wilson, sir." "Show me the identification that started this situation." Wilson handed over Jordan's CAC with trembling hands. Thornton examined it briefly, then held it up to the light where Patterson could see it clearly. "This clearance level is TSSCI SAP, Tier 1 Special Access. There are 11 people in the entire Department of Defense with this designation. Commander Briggs is one of them." Patterson's voice came out barely above a whisper. "Sir, we didn't know. We thought she was—" "I don't recall asking you to speak, Lieutenant." Thornton's tone could have frozen the Pacific. "What's your name?" "Lieutenant Jake Patterson, SEAL Team 3, sir." Team 3. Thornton handed the CAC back to Jordan. And you decided to harass someone in a Navy bar because why, exactly? Patterson's mouth opened, closed. No answer would help him now. Dawson stepped forward. Sir, if I may, we thought she was a civilian dependent. She looked young, and we were concerned about... Concerned about what, Chief? Someone sitting quietly drinking water? That threatened you? No, sir, I just meant... You meant you saw someone you perceived as weak and decided to assert dominance. That's what you meant. Hammond had gone completely silent, red hair stark against his pale face. The bar door opened again. Rear Admiral Victoria Cross entered in service khakis, 2 ribbons on her chest, her salt and pepper hair pulled into a regulation bun. She was 52, compact at 5'7", with sharp features and eyes that missed nothing. Commander Briggs. Her voice held layers Jordan clearly understood, but nobody else could read. Ma'am. Jordan's posture somehow became even more rigid. Are you injured? No, ma'am. Did anyone here physically assault you? Jordan hesitated. Lieutenant Patterson grabbed my wrist twice, ma'am. I disengaged without escalation. Admiral Cross's eyes found Patterson like targeting lasers. You put hands on a senior officer? Ma'am, I didn't know she was... Finish that sentence carefully, Lieutenant. Patterson went silent. Thornton moved to the bar, gestured for Rachel to pour him a whiskey. Since we're all here, let's clear some things up. Admiral Cross, would you please explain to these operators who Commander Briggs is, since she seems reluctant to defend herself? Cross walked a slow circle around Jordan, like presenting evidence at a trial. Lieutenant Commander Jordan Briggs, Naval Special Warfare Development Group, previously assigned to SEAL Team 6, Gold Squadron. The bar erupted in whispers. DevGru, Team 6. The words carried weight that pressed down on everyone present. 7 years active service, Cross continued. Graduated Buds Class 347 at age 22. Hell Week completion time in the top 15% of her class. Selected for Green Team at 25, youngest female candidate in program history. Hammond's voice cracked. There are women in DevGru? Now there are. Cross didn't look at him. Commander Briggs was the first to complete selection. That was 4 years ago. Since then, she's conducted operational deployments I cannot discuss in this setting, to countries I cannot name, doing things that will remain classified for the next 75 years. Walsh had remained standing at attention, but his face showed something like awe. Ma'am, if I may ask, was Commander Briggs on the Yemen operation 6 months ago? Cross's expression hardened. Master Chief, you know I can't answer that. You don't have to, ma'am. I knew Lieutenant McKinnon, served with him in 2018. When he died in Yemen, along with his whole team, they said 1 person survived. Walsh looked at Jordan. They said she held position for 14 hours, calling in strikes on her own location. Jordan's jaw tightened, but she said nothing. Thornton set his whiskey down. Commander Briggs is currently on medical leave recovering from that operation. She requested assignment away from operational teams, specifically requested anonymity during her recovery. She wanted to heal without being treated like a symbol or a victim. I just wanted to be nobody for a while. Jordan's voice was quiet. Patterson looked physically ill. Ma'am, if we had known... If you had known what? Admiral Cross stepped toward him. If you had known she was a decorated officer, you would have shown respect, but a civilian dependent deserved harassment? That's not what I meant, ma'am. Then what did you mean, Lieutenant? Silence. Doc Martinez found her voice. Ma'am, I tried to get them to stop. I should have tried harder. Cross turned to her, expression softening marginally. Corporal Martinez, is it? Yes, ma'am. You spoke up when your seniors failed to. That's noted. Cross returned her attention to the 3 Team 3 operators. You 3, however, just publicly humiliated a DevGru operator in front of 70 witnesses. Do you understand the implications? Dawson's voice was hoarse. Yes, ma'am. I don't think you do. Commander Briggs has operational knowledge that could compromise active missions. She has clearances that put her in rooms with generals and senators. She has experienced things that would break most of you." Cross's voice dropped. "And you treated her like a sorority girl crashing your party." Wilson spoke up hesitantly. "Ma'am, for the record, I was attempting to verify her credentials when the situation escalated. I wasn't part of the initial." "You're fine, Lieutenant Wilson. You were doing your job." Cross waved him off. These three made this situation. Rachel had been listening silently, but now she spoke. "Admiral, Commander Briggs has been coming here occasionally for 3 months. Always alone, always quiet, never caused a problem. I wish I'd recognized what she was sooner." "You weren't supposed to," Jordan said. "That was the point." Thornton finished his whiskey. "Commander, show them." Jordan looked at him, confused. "Sir?" "Show them what you've been hiding. That's an order." Jordan hesitated, then slowly pulled off her hoodie. Underneath, a simple gray tank top revealed arms more defined than her frame suggested possible. But more than that, it revealed scars. Burn marks on her right shoulder, surgical scars from shrapnel removal, and along her left rib cage, partially visible beneath the tank top edge, the outline of a trident tattoo. Hammond had been right about the tattoo, but he'd been wrong about what it meant. "That placement," Walsh said quietly, "that's where operators put their earned trident. Not memorial. Earned." Jordan pulled her shirt back down. "Can I go now, sir?" "Not yet," Admiral Cross said. "We're going to settle something first. Lieutenant Patterson, you challenged Commander Briggs's credibility tonight. You implied she didn't belong in a SEAL bar. So let's make this official." Patterson's face went white. "Ma'am, I don't understand." "There's a range out back. I'm told you challenged her to prove her skills earlier." Cross gestured toward the rear exit. "Let's see how that goes." "Ma'am, that's not necessary," Jordan interjected. "I don't need to prove." "This isn't about you, Commander. This is about these operators learning what assumptions cost." Cross looked at Patterson. "Unless you'd like to withdraw your challenge and apologize now." Patterson looked trapped between humiliation and hope. "Ma'am, if the commander accepts my apology, I'd prefer not to." "Do you accept his apology, Commander Briggs?" Jordan looked at Patterson, really looked at him for the first time. Saw not just arrogance, but fear. Not just ego, but the desperation of someone's career was disintegrating in real time. "Sir, I understand what it's like to want to prove yourself, to feel like you're not getting recognition you've earned. I don't hold." "That's not what I asked. Do you accept his apology?" Long pause. "No, ma'am, I don't." Cross smozzled without warmth. "Then we're going to the range. Master Chief Walsh, you'll supervise. Secretary Thornton, if you have time." "Wouldn't miss it." Thornton stood. "Let's see what these Team 3 operators are made of." The bar emptied into the back lot, where a small private range stood, legal and licensed for the establishment. 70-plus people crowded around as Hammond set up targets at 25 meters. Patterson looked at Jordan, searching for mercy and finding none. "What's the challenge, ma'am?" Admiral Cross answered for her. "Standard qual, 6 rounds, handgun, 25 meters, 30 seconds. Commander Briggs goes first." She produced her own sidearm, a Sig Sauer M18. "Use mine." Jordan took the weapon, press-checked it with professional efficiency, checked the magazine seating. Every movement was textbook. She stepped to the line. Modified Weaver stance, breathing controlled. 6 rounds fired in 4.3 seconds. Target pulled back. Perfect grouping, all center mass, diameter smaller than a fist. Patterson stared at it. Hammond looked like he might be sick. "Your turn, Lieutenant," Cross said. Patterson took the SIG with hands that shook slightly. He stepped to the line, assumed his stance, fired 6 rounds in 8 seconds. Competent, solid grouping, 6 inches diameter, all scoring zone. Under normal circumstances, it would have been impressive. Next to Jordan's target, it looked amateurish. "Good shooting, Lieutenant," Admiral Cross said without inflection. "Now let's try something more interesting. Commander, rifle qualification, moving targets, 100 meters." Hammond set up the mechanized target system, 4 silhouettes that would traverse left to right at variable speeds. He handed Jordan an M4 from the range locker, worn but functional. Jordan inspected it with the same methodical precision, checked the chamber, gas tube, bolt carrier group. Her face showed nothing, but Walsh noticed her pause on the buffer spring. "Problem, Commander?" he asked. "Spring tension is off, probably 1,000 rounds past replacement cycle." She looked at Admiral Cross. "Ma'am, this is a test rifle. It's been deliberately worn to make qualification harder." "Can you shoot it?" "Yes, ma'am." "Then shoot it." Jordan dropped to prone position. The moment her body settled, Walsh whispered to Doc Martinez beside him, "Watch her breathing pattern. That's high-altitude sniper technique. They teach that at advanced courses most SEALs never see." Jordan's breathing fell into a rhythm. 4 counts in, hold, 4 counts out. Her body went absolutely still between shots. The targets activated, moving at speeds designed to challenge experienced operators. She fired 10 rounds in 21 seconds. Every target showed 2 hits center mass, 2 headshots. The crowd had gone silent. This wasn't just good shooting. This was something else entirely. Patterson didn't even try. "Ma'am, I can't match that." "I know you can't, Lieutenant. That's the point." Admiral Cross turned to address the entire gathered crowd. "What you just witnessed is performance from an operator who's done this under conditions none of you have faced. Commander Briggs has engaged targets at distance, at night, in urban environments, with civilian presence, with hostile fire incoming. This range qualification is a vacation for her." Dawson found his voice. "Ma'am, how is that level of performance even possible?" "Training, Chief. Thousands of hours. Commander Briggs didn't get selected for DevGru because she was lucky. She got selected because she outperformed 47 male candidates during Green Team assessment." Hammond stepped forward hesitantly. "Ma'am, with respect, I've never seen shooting like that outside of competition circuits, Olympic-level marksmanship." "Olympic shooters use different techniques," Walsh interjected. "Competition shooting and combat shooting are different disciplines. What Commander Briggs just demonstrated was tactical respiratory pause between shots. That's not sport technique. That's operational." Jordan had stood, clearing the weapon and handing it back to Hammond. Her face remained impassive, but something in her eyes suggested she wanted this over. Thornton spoke up. "Let's try something else. Commander, I'm told you have expertise in close quarters combat. Would you be willing to demonstrate?" "Sir, I'd rather not." That wasn't a request. Jordan's jaw tightened. "Yes, sir." Mats were pulled from the range storage. Hammond looked at Patterson and Dawson, neither wanting to volunteer. "I'll do it," Walsh said, "if the commander doesn't mind." Jordan looked at him, recognizing what he was doing. Walsh was experienced enough, respected enough, that losing to him wouldn't destroy his ego. He was giving her an out. "Master Chief, you're 47, with a rebuilt knee. I'd prefer not to." "I'm volunteering, ma'am." Walsh stepped onto the mat, removed his shoes. "Just grappling. Tap when you've got position." They squared up. Walsh outweighed Jordan by 67 pounds, 6 inches taller, decades more experience. Under normal circumstances, size and strength would dominate. Walsh shot for a takedown, textbook technique. Jordan sprawled, weight distribution perfect, then transitioned to his back faster than most of the watching operators could track. Her arms snaked around his throat, locking in a rear naked choke with pressure that made Walsh tap immediately. 4 seconds total. Walsh stood, rubbing his neck with a smile. "Ma'am, that transition was clean. Where'd you learn that?" "DevGru Combatives Program. We trained with UFC fighters and Army Special Forces instructors." "I can tell. That wasn't basic hand-to-hand." Walsh addressed the crowd. "For those wondering, what she just did requires understanding leverage, physics, and having reaction time fast enough to exploit a half-second window. I gave her that window deliberately. In real combat, she wouldn't need it." Patterson looked shattered. His entire worldview was recalibrating in real time, and the cognitive dissonance showed on his face. Admiral Cross wasn't finished. "Let's talk tactics. Lieutenant Patterson, Explain the difference between HAHO and halo insertion methodology. Patterson straightened, grasping for familiar ground. HAHO is high-altitude, high-opening, used for covert insertion with long glide distance. Halo is high-altitude, low-opening, faster insertion with minimal canopy time. Adequate? Commander Briggs, expand on that. Jordan sighed. HAHO insertion typically occurs at 25 to 30,000 feet with immediate chute deployment. Glide ratio approximately 5 to 1, allowing insertion range exceeding 30 miles from drop point. Useful when ground-based radar poses detection risk or when aircraft can't safely approach target area. Requires oxygen pre-breathing cumbicol minimum 60 minutes prior to jump to prevent hypoxia. Halo uses same exit altitude, but free fall to around 2,500 feet before deployment. Minimizes aircraft detection time and allows faster target approach, but increases jumper exposure to ground observation. Both require specialized training and altitude physiological conditioning most operators never receive. Dead silence. That wasn't textbook knowledge. That was operational experience. Hammond's voice cracked. How many HAHO jumps have you done, ma'am? Jordan looked at Admiral Cross, who nodded permission. 17 operational, 32 training. Jesus, Dawson whispered. Let's talk loadout, Admiral Cross continued the interrogation. What's standard configuration for direct action urban environment? Jordan's expression showed resistance, but she answered, mission dependent, ma'am. Generally, HK416 with 10-inch barrel, suppressor, EOTH EXPS-3 holographic with magnifier, IR laser designator. Secondary, Glock 19 with red dot optic. Plate carrier with level 4 ceramics, pelvic protection, IFAK on belt with quick clot and chest seals. Communications typically MBITR with encryption. Minimum 6 magazines primary, 3 secondary, but that scales with mission duration and support availability. Patterson looked like he'd been punched. That's exact DevGru loadout. That's not published anywhere. Because it's not supposed to be, Walsh said quietly. That's operational security information. The fact that she knows it means she's used it. Doc Martinez had been watching Jordan's face, and medical training caught what others missed. Ma'am, when you removed your hoodie, I noticed scarring on your shoulder. That pattern is consistent with surgical shrapnel removal. I've seen that exact technique only at Landstuhl Medical Center in Germany. They specialize in combat trauma. Jordan pulled her tank top strap back into place. Old injury. How old, ma'am? 6 months. The Yemen operation. Everyone present knew what that meant now. Thornton spoke up. Since we're being honest, let's complete the picture. Commander Briggs, tell them about Yemen. Sir, that's classified. I'm declassifying the relevant portions right now. That's within my authority. Thornton faced the crowd. 6 months ago, Commander Briggs led an 8-person team on a hostage rescue operation in Yemen. The intelligence was compromised. They walked into an ambush approximately 4 minutes after insertion. Jordan's face had gone carefully blank, the expression of someone forcing down memories. Commander Briggs was the only member of her team to survive the initial contact. She held defensive position for 14 hours, wounded, calling in airstrikes on her own coordinates to prevent enemy capture of sensitive materials and fallen teammates. Thornton's voice hardened. She personally carried 2 wounded operators 3 kilometers to emergency extraction point. Both died en route. She remained conscious long enough to brief the reaction force before collapsing from blood loss and smoke inhalation. The parking lot had gone absolutely silent. Even the traffic noise from the nearby streets seemed to fade. For that action, Commander Briggs received the Silver Star. That medal is currently sitting in a drawer in her apartment because she refuses to display it. She believes she failed her team. Jordan's hands had clenched into fists at her sides. Permission to be dismissed, sir? Denied. These operators need to understand who they harassed tonight. Thornton turned back to the crowd. Commander Briggs has more combat experience than most of you will accumulate in full careers. She's seen and done things that will give her nightmares for the rest of her life. And you 3, he pointed at Patterson, Dawson, and Hammond, decided she looked like an easy target. Patterson's voice was barely audible. Sir, we didn't know. We made assumptions. You made judgments based on appearance. That's exactly the kind of thinking that gets people killed in the field. Admiral Cross pulled out her phone, made a call that everyone could hear on speaker. Captain Reynolds, this is Admiral Cross. I need a formal investigation opened regarding conduct unbecoming. 3 operators from Team 3. Yes, tonight. I want them in my office Monday morning, 0800, dress whites with JAG representation. Patterson looked like he might pass out. Ma'am, please, my career. Should have thought about that before you grabbed a senior officer, Lieutenant. Cross ended the call. Lieutenant Wilson, I need your incident report on my desk by tomorrow morning. Include witness statements from everyone present. Wilson snapped to attention. Yes, ma'am. Should I include the demonstrations that just occurred? Everything. I want a complete record. Cross turned to Jordan. Commander, you're free to go. I apologize that your medical leave has been interrupted by this situation. It's not your fault, ma'am. It's my command. Everything that happens here is my responsibility. Cross's expression softened slightly. Are you still seeing Dr. Winters for your sessions? Yes, ma'am, twice weekly. Good. I'll inform her about tonight's events. She may want to add an additional session this week. Jordan nodded, not trusting her voice. Thornton approached her, speaking quietly enough that only those nearby could hear. Jordan, I know this wasn't how you wanted to spend your evening, but maybe it needed to happen. Sir? You've been hiding for 6 months, trying to be invisible. That's not healing, that's avoidance. He put a hand on her shoulder, fatherly despite the rank difference. Your team wouldn't want you disappearing. Jordan's eyes glistened, but no tears fell. They're dead because of intelligence failures, sir, because someone up the chain made mistakes, and my people paid for it. I know, and those failures are being investigated. But you surviving isn't a failure. You fighting for 14 hours isn't a failure. You bringing them home isn't a failure. It feels like one, sir. Dawson had been listening, and something in his face cracked. Ma'am, I lost teammates in Afghanistan in 2019. IED strike, 4 operators gone in seconds. I understand that guilt. I understand feeling like you should have died with them. Jordan looked at him, recognizing the pain in his voice. Then you know it doesn't go away. No, ma'am, but it gets manageable, with time and help. Dawson's voice dropped. What I did tonight was inexcusable. I took my insecurities and projected them onto you. That's not the operator I want to be. Chief, you're a good operator. I can see it in how you move, how you think tactically, but good operators can still make bad decisions. Jordan paused. I've made plenty. Hammond stepped forward, hat literally in his hands. Ma'am, I don't know how to apologize for tonight. I was trying to impress the senior guys, trying to fit in, and there's no excuse. You're 28, petty officer. I did stupid things at 28 trying to prove myself too. The difference is you have a chance to learn from this. Walsh approached Admiral Cross. Ma'am, if I may, I'd like to request Commander Briggs be considered for an instructor position at Buds. Her experience and skill set would be invaluable for training the next generation. Cross looked at Jordan. Would you be interested in that, Commander? I don't know, ma'am. Teaching requires being visible, acknowledged. That's what I've been avoiding. Sometimes what we're avoiding is exactly what we need, Walsh said. Your team wouldn't want you hiding. They'd want you passing on what you learned, what you paid for in blood. Jordan closed her eyes briefly. When she opened them, they were wet but determined. Thank you, Master Chief. What you did tonight, staying calm while being harassed, demonstrating skill without arrogance, showing grace to people who deserved none, that's leadership. That's exactly what DevCrew looks for. Your team would be proud. Jordan's eyes closed briefly. When she opened them, they were wet but determined. Thank you, Master Chief. Monday morning arrived with the weight of consequence. Naval Special Warfare Command conference room at 07:55, 5 minutes before the appointed time. Patterson, Dawson, and Hammond stood outside in dress white uniforms, each accompanied by a JAG officer who'd spent the weekend reviewing incident reports. Inside, Admiral Cross sat at the head of a long table. Master Chief Walsh occupied a seat to her right, present as a senior enlisted advisor. 2 other officers filled out the board: Commander Hayes from NSW Legal and Captain Richardson from Team 3's direct chain of command. Patterson's JAG, Lieutenant Commander Morris, spoke first as they entered. "Ma'am, my client wishes to make a statement before proceedings begin." Denied. You'll have opportunity during appropriate portions of this inquiry. Cross gestured to 3 chairs facing the board. Sit. They sat. Patterson looked like he hadn't slept. Dawson's usual confidence had evaporated. Hammond couldn't stop his leg from bouncing nervously. Cross opened a folder. This board convenes to address conduct violations occurring Friday, November 10th at the Anchor Bar. Lieutenant Patterson, you are charged with conduct unbecoming an officer, specifically harassment of a senior officer and physical contact without consent. Chief Dawson, same charges. Petty Officer Hammond, lesser charges of participation in harassment and failure to intervene. She looked up. Before we proceed, I want to be clear. Commander Briggs is not present because this is not about her. This is about your behavior towards someone you believed was powerless to respond. That makes it worse, not better. Captain Richardson leaned forward. Lieutenant Patterson, I've reviewed your service record. Excellent operator scores, strong performance reviews, recommended for advancement. But I'm also seeing 2 failed DevGru selection attempts and notes about attitude issues regarding female integration in combat roles. Patterson's jaw tightened. Sir, I support qualified women in combat. I just have standards. Standards or resentment? Richardson cut him off. Because witness statements suggest you targeted Commander Briggs specifically because she appeared young and female. That's not standards, Lieutenant. That's bias. Patterson's lawyer started to object, but Patterson waved him off. Sir, permission to speak candidly? Granted. I was angry. I've worked toward DevGru selection for 4 years. 2 attempts, 2 failures. Then I hear about female operators passing selection, and part of me wondered if standards were being lowered. That's not an excuse, it's the truth. When Commander Briggs walked into that bar looking like a college student, all that resentment came out. At least you're honest, Richardson made a note, but personal feelings don't justify harassment. Admiral Cross took over. Chief Dawson, explain your participation. Dawson sat straighter. Ma'am, I was backing my teammate. Lieutenant Patterson had concerns, and I supported him. That's team mentality. But I failed to recognize when loyalty became enabling bad behavior. I should have stopped him. I didn't. Why not? Because I bought into the same assumptions, ma'am. I saw someone who didn't look like she belonged, and I decided she didn't belong. I was wrong. Walsh spoke up. Chief, you have 12 years exemplary service. What happened to your judgment? Master Chief, honest answer, I got comfortable. Comfortable in my role, comfortable in the team hierarchy, comfortable making snap decisions based on appearance. That comfort made me lazy, made me stupid. That's accurate, Walsh said without sympathy. Hammond was called next. His leg had stopped bouncing, but his hands shook slightly. Ma'am, I don't have the excuse of seniority or experience. I'm 28. I've been at Team 3 for 2 years. I participated because I wanted to fit in with the senior operators. I thought that's what being on a team meant. Being on a team means protecting each other, Petty Officer, not protecting each other's worst impulses. Commander Hayes entered the conversation for the first time. What would you have done if Commander Briggs had been a civilian dependent like you believed? Ma'am, I would have hoped someone would stop us. We were wrong, regardless of who she was. Correct answer. Wrong timing. You should have recognized that in the moment. Cross pulled out witness statements. I have testimony from 43 personnel present at the Anchor that night. 37 confirm you 3 initiated and escalated the confrontation. 4 say Corporal Martinez attempted to intervene and was shut down. Master Chief Walsh attempted multiple interventions that were ignored. The bartender, Rachel Hunt, confirms Commander Briggs was behaving appropriately and posed no threat or disturbance. She set the papers down. Lieutenant Wilson from Shore Patrol confirms Commander Briggs' credentials were valid and her clearance levels required immediate contact with NSW Command. Secretary of Defense Thornton provided a statement confirming Commander Briggs has served with distinction in operations that remained classified. Patterson closed his eyes. "Ma'am, what's our status?" "I'll tell you what your status is, Lieutenant. You publicly humiliated a decorated combat veteran who was trying to heal from catastrophic loss. You grabbed her physically after she requested you stop. You challenged her credibility and demanded she prove herself to you, someone 6 ranks junior and with a fraction of her experience." Cross's voice could have cut steel. "If Commander Briggs had filed assault charges, you'd be facing court-martial. She declines to press charges. Do you know why?" Patterson shook his head. "Because she understands trauma responses. She recognizes that your behavior, while inexcusable, came from a place of insecurity rather than malice. She's showing you more grace than you showed her." The room fell silent except for the air conditioning hum. "Here are my decisions," Cross continued. "Lieutenant Patterson, you will receive a formal letter of reprimand in your permanent record. You are removed from Team 3 leadership positions effective immediately. You will complete mandatory respect and conduct training, and you're reassigned to training command for the next 12 months. No operational deployments." Patterson's face went white. "Ma'am, please." "You're a good operator, Lieutenant. Your skills are not in question, but your judgment is catastrophically flawed. You'll remain in naval service, but you'll earn your way back to a team through demonstrated maturity and leadership." She turned to Dawson. "Chief Dawson, you are reduced in rank to Petty Officer First Class, effective immediately. 6 months non-judicial punishment. Your loyalty to your teammate is noted, but loyalty means correcting bad behavior, not enabling it." Dawson accepted it with a nod. "Understood, ma'am." "Petty Officer Hammond, you receive written counseling, not formal reprimand. 30 days extra duty. You're young enough and junior enough that I believe you can learn from this. Don't prove me wrong." "No, ma'am, I won't." Captain Richardson added, "All 3 of you will also submit written apologies to Commander Briggs, not because she requested them, but because you owe them. Those apologies will be reviewed by this board for sincerity before being forwarded." Admiral Cross stood. "You're dismissed to begin your reassignments, but before you go, understand something. Naval Special Warfare is built on trust. Trust that your teammates will perform under pressure regardless of what they look like or where they come from. You 3 demonstrated that your trust is conditional. That makes you liabilities until you prove otherwise." They stood, saluted, and filed out. In the hallway, Patterson leaned against the wall, dress whites stark in the fluorescent lighting. 12 months in training command," he said to nobody in particular. "My career is over." "No, it isn't," his JAG said. "You're still in the Navy, still a SEAL. You just have to rebuild your reputation." Dawson, now Petty Officer Dawson again, looked at his former rank insignia like it was a stranger. "I earned Chief twice. First time through performance. Second time I just lost it through stupidity." Hammond's JAG pulled him aside. "You got off light, Petty Officer. The Admiral could have destroyed your career. Don't waste this chance." "I won't, sir." Later that afternoon, Jordan sat in her temporary office at NSW Command processing paperwork for her medical leave extension. A knock interrupted her focus. She looked up to find Hammond standing in the doorway. "Ma'am, permission to enter?" "Come in, Petty Officer." Hammond stepped inside, closed the door, came to attention. "Ma'am, I know you don't want to hear this, and I know it doesn't change anything, but I need to say it. What I did Friday was inexcusable. I was trying to impress senior guys, trying to fit in, and I chose the coward's path. I targeted someone I thought couldn't fight back." Jordan gestured to a chair. "Sit down, Hammond. You're making me nervous standing at attention." He sat rigidly. "Ma'am, can I ask you something?" "Go ahead." "How do you not hate us? After everything we put you through, how are you sitting here being civil?" Jordan was quiet for a moment. "Because I've made mistakes too, Petty Officer. Maybe not that exact mistake, but I've misjudged people. I've let bias affect my decisions. Combat teaches you that everyone's carrying something, fighting battles you can't see. Hating you would require assuming you're somehow worse than me. You're not. You're just human." "That's more grace than I deserve, ma'am." "Maybe, but grace isn't about deserving. It's about choosing to see potential for growth instead of just failure." She paused. You're 28. You have your whole career ahead of you. Learn from this. Become the operator who stands up when others won't." Hammond's voice cracked. "How do I do that, ma'am? How do I become better?" "By remembering how you feel right now. That shame, that regret, hold on to it. Let it guide you when you're faced with similar situations. When you see someone being targeted, remember you were the person doing the targeting. Then choose differently." "Yes, ma'am. Thank you." After Hammond left, Dawson's formal posture relaxed slightly. "Ma'am, if I may, the guilt doesn't disappear. It just becomes something you learn to carry. My therapist said survivor's guilt is love with nowhere to go. You loved your team, they're gone, and that love just circles inside you looking for purpose." "That's accurate," Jordan acknowledged. "What did you do with it?" "I started mentoring junior operators, passing on what my lost teammates taught me. It doesn't heal the wound, but it gives the pain meaning." He paused. "For what it's worth, watching you shoot that qualification course reminded me why I joined the teams. Pure skill without ego. That's rare." "You're a good operator, Dawson. Your shooting stance, your tactical thinking when you positioned yourself at the bar, you have solid fundamentals. Don't let one mistake define your career." "I lost my rank, ma'am. That defines plenty." "You lost your rank because you followed bad leadership. That's different than being a bad operator. Rank can be re-earned. Character is harder to rebuild, but you're doing the work." After Dawson left, Jordan sat alone with her thoughts until the final knock came. Patterson entered last, and the difference was stark. He looked hollowed out, like something fundamental had broken inside him. "Ma'am," his voice was barely audible. "I came to apologize, though I don't know what words could possibly—" "Sit down, Lieutenant." Patterson sat, and for a long moment neither spoke. Finally, Jordan broke the silence. "Why did you do it?" Real answer. "Honestly," Patterson looked at his hands, "I've been passed over for DevGru twice. 2 years of additional training, 2 selection attempts, 2 failures. And then I started hearing about female operators passing green team. Part of me wondered if standards were being lowered, if I was failing because spots were being reserved." "Were you?" "No, ma'am. I know that now. I knew it intellectually before, but I didn't accept it emotionally. When you walked into that bar looking so young, so normal, all that resentment found a target." Jordan leaned back. "I passed over 47 male candidates when I made DevGru selection. You think that didn't create resentment? I had operators refuse to work with me, question every decision I made, assume I'd get them killed because I was a diversity hire." "How did you handle it?" "By being better, by outperforming everyone until the doubt couldn't hold up against reality, by never giving them ammunition to use against me." She paused. "But it was exhausting. Every single day feeling like I had to prove I deserved to breathe the same air." Patterson met her eyes for the first time. "Ma'am, if I reapply for DevGru in a year, you might be on the selection board. I know what I did makes that impossible now, but—" "It doesn't. Ma'am, DevGru doesn't want operators who are perfect. Perfect doesn't exist in combat. They want operators who can adapt, who can learn from mistakes, who have been broken down and rebuilt stronger." Jordan's voice was measured. "In a year, I won't remember you from the bar. I'll remember how you responded to consequence. That's what matters." "I don't deserve that grace, ma'am." "Probably not, but I'm not giving it to you. I'm giving it to the operator you might become if you do the work." She stood. "You have talent, Patterson. Your fundamentals are solid, your tactical thinking is sound. But DevGru doesn't just want good operators. They want mature leaders who don't need to tear others down to feel valuable." Patterson stood as well. "Ma'am, I'll prove I can be better. That's a promise." "Don't promise me. Promise yourself." 3 days later, an informal ceremony took place outside NSW Command. Not official enough for full dress uniforms, but significant enough that 200 personnel attended during their lunch break. Admiral Cross stood at a portable podium. "We're here to recognize moral courage." Corporal Martinez, front and center. Doc Martinez approached nervously, came to attention. Cross held up a unit coin, Naval Special Warfare Command's insignia embossed in bronze. Corporal, you demonstrated the courage to intervene when your seniors failed to act. You attempted to stop harassment despite being significantly outranked. That represents the character we need in naval special warfare. She pressed the coin into her hand. This coin represents that you acted when it mattered. Carry it as a reminder that rank isn't permission to ignore what's right. Thank you, ma'am. Martina's voice shook slightly, but I feel like I should have done more. You did what you could with the authority you had. That's all anyone can ask. Cross addressed the crowd. Everyone here needs to understand something. Intervention doesn't require rank. It requires courage. Corporal Martinez had that courage. Make sure you do too. After the ceremony, young SEALs approached Martinez, asking questions about what happened. One trainee, fresh from buds, looked conflicted. Corporal, I was in that bar Friday night. I laughed along with everyone else. I feel sick about it now. Good, Martinez said. Use that feeling. Remember it next time you're tempted to judge someone by appearance. Remember Commander Briggs. Remember that everyone's carrying something you can't see. Jordan watched from a second-floor window, not wanting to be part of the attention, but needing to see Martinez recognized. Master Chief Walsh appeared beside her. You should be down there, ma'am. This isn't about me, Master Chief. It's about reinforcing the right behavior in others. Everything you do is about teaching, whether you recognize it or not. Walsh gestured to the gathered personnel. Half those operators down there are reconsidering their own biases right now because of what happened. You're changing the culture just by existing in it. I'm just trying to survive each day. That's enough. Survival is victory after what you've been through. Walsh pulled out a folder. Admiral Cross asked me to give you this. Proposed instructor assignment at BUDS. Phase 2, Combat Conditioning and Tactical Skills. Your decision, no pressure. Jordan took the folder but didn't open it. Master Chief, I'm not sure I can watch young operators train, knowing what's waiting for them downrange, knowing some of them won't come back. That's exactly why they need you, because you know the cost. You can prepare them better than instructors who've never seen real combat. Walsh's voice softened. Your team wouldn't want you hiding. They'd want you teaching, passing on what they taught you. Lieutenant McKinnon was brilliant. He saw patterns others missed, thought 3 moves ahead of the enemy. He saved my life by pushing me towards cover 2 seconds before the RPG hit. Jordan's voice went hollow. All his tactical knowledge died with him. Unless you teach it to the next generation, then it lives on. Jordan finally opened the folder. Instructor position description, training schedule, proposed timeline. When would this start? 3 months, if you accept. Gives you time to complete your current medical leave, continue therapy, prepare mentally. I'll think about it. That's all I'm asking, ma'am. That weekend, Jordan returned to the Anchor Bar. Saturday evening, 2000 hours, the same time frame as the previous Friday. She paused outside, staring at the familiar entrance, fighting the urge to turn around and leave. Rachel saw her through the window, waved her inside. Jordan entered to find the bar moderately busy, maybe 30 people, none of them the operators from the previous week. Commander, Rachel smiled warmly, your usual spot is open. Water? Actually, I'll try that beer you recommended last time. Coming up. Rachel poured a local IPA, set it down with a coaster. For what it's worth, the photo wall has a new addition. Jordan followed her gesture to the wall of honor behind the bar. Among the photos of decorated SEALs and fallen heroes, a new frame held a picture from some official ceremony. Jordan in dress uniform, medals visible, looking younger and more hopeful than she felt now. Where did you get that? Admiral Cross dropped it off Wednesday. Said you belong up there with the other heroes. I agreed. Rachel leaned against the bar. You look different in that photo, lighter somehow. That was before Yemen, before I lost my team. Can I say something that might be out of line? Go ahead. Your team is gone. That's a tragedy nothing can fix. But you're still here, and hiding yourself away isn't honoring their memory. It's just making their loss bigger. Jordan took a long drink of beer. You sound like my therapist. Your therapist is probably right. Rachel moved to serve another customer, then returned. The 3 guys from last week are banned for 6 months. When they come back, they'll be on probation. Any more trouble, it's permanent. That seems harsh. It's necessary. This bar has a reputation as a safe space for operators. That means everyone gets respect, not just people who look the part. A young couple entered, navy uniform on the man, civilian clothes on the woman. They chose a booth, comfortable in each other's space. Jordan watched them with something like envy, that easy connection she'd never quite managed. Master Chief Walsh entered 20 minutes later, spotted Jordan, approached with a beer in hand. "Mind if I sit, ma'am?" "Please." Walsh settled onto the adjacent stool. "How are you doing?" Real answer. "I'm here. That's progress." "It is. Coming back to a place where you were humiliated, that takes courage." He sipped his beer. "Admiral Cross told me you're considering the instructor position." "Considering, not committed." "What's holding you back?" Jordan traced patterns in the condensation on her glass. "I'm afraid I'll see my trainees in every teammate. Afraid I'll teach them everything I know, and they'll still end up dead in some desert because someone higher up makes the wrong call." "That might happen," Walsh said bluntly. "This job has no guarantees. But if they're going to deploy, wouldn't you rather they have every possible advantage?" "That's manipulative, Master Chief." "That's honest. You have knowledge that could save lives. Keeping it to yourself because you're afraid of getting attached doesn't honor your fallen teammates. It wastes their sacrifice." Jordan closed her eyes. "You're not making this easier." "I'm not trying to. I'm trying to make it clear." Walsh set his beer down. 3 months passed with the weight of decision hanging over every therapy session, every restless night, every morning run on Coronado Beach. Jordan spent February rebuilding herself piece by piece, learning to function without constantly looking over her shoulder for threats that existed only in memory. March arrived with unexpected warmth and a message from Admiral Cross. "Report to Bud's training compound Monday morning 0600, instructor uniform." Not a request, an assignment. Jordan had never formally accepted the position, but apparently her silence had been interpreted as consent. Monday morning found her standing beside Master Chief Walsh, observing Phase 2 combat conditioning. 40 trainees struggled through an obstacle course designed to break bodies and spirits in equal measure. 3 female candidates moved among the 37 men, none receiving special treatment, none asking for it. "That's Seaman Jenkins," Walsh pointed to a woman attacking the cargo net. 5'4", 130 pounds, runs a 6-minute mile. She'll make it through Hell Week if she doesn't get injured. Jordan watched Jenkins move, saw efficient technique compensating for lack of upper body strength. She's using momentum instead of muscling through. Someone taught her leverage physics. "You could teach her more." Walsh handed Jordan a whistle. "Class needs a demonstration on the rope climb. Show them how it's done." "Master Chief, I'm supposed to be observing." "You're supposed to be teaching. Can't teach from the sidelines." Walsh raised his voice. "Class, halt, gather round for demonstration." 40 exhausted trainees jogged over, forming a semicircle. Their eyes found Jordan with curiosity, some recognition flickering in faces that had heard stories. Walsh addressed them. "This is Lieutenant Commander Briggs. She's joining the instructor cadre. Commander, demonstrate proper rope climb technique." Jordan approached the 30-foot rope, removed her boots. The rough manila fiber was familiar beneath her hands, countless climbs burned into muscle memory. She began ascending, calling out technique points as she moved. "Feet do half the work. Lock the rope between your insteps, push with legs, not just pull with arms. Conserve upper body strength." She reached the top in 18 seconds, descended in controlled slides. Speed matters, but efficiency matters more. A slow climb that doesn't exhaust you is better than a fast one that leaves you useless. Jenkins raised her hand. "Ma'am, what if you don't have the upper body strength for the initial pull?" "Then you build it. But while you're building it, you use technique. Petty Officer Jenkins, come demonstrate." Jenkins approached nervously. Jordan positioned her hands, adjusted her foot placement. "Now climb." Jenkins made it 15 feet before her arms gave out. She lowered herself down, frustrated. "I can't do it, ma'am." "You made it farther than your first attempt." "Yes, ma'am, but nothing. Progress is progress. You'll do it again tomorrow, and you'll make it 17 feet, then 20, then the top." Jordan's voice carried to all 40 trainees. "Buds isn't about being perfect today. It's about being better than yesterday every single day, until impossible becomes routine." After class, Jenkins approached Jordan hesitantly. "Ma'am, can I ask something personal?" "Go ahead." "How do you deal with people assuming you don't belong?" Jordan recognized the fear beneath the question, the constant weight of proving yourself. By belonging so completely they can't deny it. You pass the same physical standards as every man here, Seaman. You earned your spot. Don't let anyone make you question that. Some of the guys still make comments, ma'am. They will, probably for years. But 3 months ago, I walked into a bar full of SEALs and they thought I was a college student. Now I'm teaching their replacements. Time and performance silence critics. Nothing else does. Jenkins nodded, something like hope in her expression. "Thank you, ma'am." 2 weeks into the instructor assignment, Jordan found herself developing a routine. Morning training with Phase 2 candidates, afternoon sessions with advanced tactical classes, evenings reviewing training documentation and preparing next day's lessons. The work was exhausting but purposeful, filling hours that had previously been occupied by spiraling thoughts and survivor's guilt. Thursday afternoon, reviewing marksmanship scores, someone knocked on her office door. Patterson stood in the entrance, now wearing training command insignia, looking healthier than their last meeting. "Ma'am, permission to enter?" "Come in, Lieutenant. What can I do for you?" Patterson remained standing. "I wanted to update you, ma'am. I've been assigned to training command as a junior instructor. I'm teaching land navigation and basic tactics to pre-BUDS candidates. How's it going?" "Honestly, I'm learning more here than I did on Team 3. Patterson's voice carried genuine humility. "Turns out teaching requires patience I didn't know I needed. Candidates ask questions that make me reconsider things I thought I understood." "That's the point," Jordan said. "DevGru doesn't want operators who can shoot. They want operators who can think, adapt, and lead under impossible circumstances." "Ma'am, I'm reapplying for Green Team in 3 months. I know you might be on the selection board. I want you to know I'm not the same operator who harassed you at the anchor." "Don't tell me, Lieutenant. Show your candidates. If they respect you, if they learn from you, if you're building them up instead of tearing others down, I'll notice." "Yes, ma'am. That's all I wanted to say." Patterson turned to leave, paused at the door. "Commander, one more thing. I'm teaching a class of 18 pre-BUDS candidates. 4 are women. I'm making sure they get the same training, same standards, same respect as everyone else. Not because I have to, but because they deserve it." "That's growth, Lieutenant. Keep it up." After Patterson left, Jordan stared at the marksmanship scores without seeing them. Master Chief Walsh appeared in her doorway, reading her expression with practiced ease. "You're thinking about your team." "I'm always thinking about them, Master Chief." Jordan set the papers down. 8 names tattooed on my ribs. 8 people I couldn't save. 8 people who made a choice to be operators knowing the risks. You didn't fail them, Jordan. Bad intelligence failed them. I was team leader. Their safety was my responsibility. Walsh entered, closed the door, sat without asking permission. "Let me tell you about Lieutenant McKinnon. He was my student during advanced sniper training in 2016. Best tactical mind I ever taught. You know what he told me once?" Jordan shook her head. "He said the only failure in combat is failing to learn from it. He said every operator who dies teaches something to those who survive, and wasting that lesson is the real tragedy." Walsh leaned forward. "You survived Yemen because McKinnon pushed you to cover. He gave his life to preserve yours. What are you doing with that gift?" "I'm teaching." "You're hiding and teaching. There's a difference." Walsh pulled out a folder. "Admiral Cross wants you back in operational rotation. Advisory role, not direct action. Training foreign forces, consulting on mission planning. 9 months, then reassessment." Jordan took the folder, felt its weight. "I'm not ready to go back overseas." "Maybe not, but you're ready to start preparing. And these candidates need to see that survival is possible. That you can be broken and still put yourself back together." April brought warmer weather and a rhythm Jordan hadn't felt since before Yemen. Her therapy sessions with Dr. Winters had moved from twice weekly to once, focused now on managing ongoing PTSD rather than crisis intervention. The nightmares still came, but less frequently, and she'd learned techniques to ground herself when they did. Friday evening, 2000 hours, Jordan returned to the Anchor Bar. Becoming a regular again felt strange, like reclaiming territory she'd been forced to abandon. Rachel greeted her with a familiar smile. "Commander, your usual spot. Beer or water tonight?" "Beer. I'm off duty until Monday." Rachel poured the IPA, set it down with a coaster. You look different than 3 months ago. Less like you're expecting an ambush. I'm working on it. Jordan took a long drink. Some days are better than others. The bar had filled with the usual Friday crowd, maybe 50 SEALs and their families celebrating the end of another training week. Jordan recognized several faces from buds, instructors and senior trainees who'd completed Phase 2. Doc Martinez entered with 3 friends, spotted Jordan, broke into a wide smile. "Commander, ma'am, I got my promotion results last week. Petty Officer 3rd Class." "I heard. Congratulations, Martinez. Well deserved." "Admiral Cross told me you wrote a letter of recommendation. Ma'am, I didn't expect." "I wrote the truth. You showed courage when it mattered. That's worth recognizing." Martinez gestured to her friends. "Ma'am, would you join us? They've been wanting to meet you." Jordan hesitated, old instincts screaming to maintain distance, to stay isolated. But Walsh's words echoed, hiding in teaching versus actually engaging. She stood, brought her beer, for one drink. Martinez's table was younger operators, fresh from various training pipelines, eager and idealistic in ways that made Jordan feel ancient at 29. They asked questions about deployment, about DevGru, about being a female operator in a male-dominated field. Jordan answered carefully, giving truth without revealing classified details, sharing lessons without glorifying violence. Master Chief Walsh entered an hour later, spotted Jordan actually smiling at something Martinez said, and nodded approval. He approached, gestured to an empty chair. "Mind if an old man joins you?" "You're 47, Master Chief. That's not old." "Tell that to my rebuilt knee." Walsh sat, ordered a beer. "Commander, I reviewed your training evaluations. Phase 2 candidates are scoring 15% higher on tactical assessments. Whatever you're teaching them is working." "I'm just passing on what I learned." "You're doing more than that. You're changing how they think about combat. Teaching them to see patterns, anticipate threats, stay 3 moves ahead." Walsh lowered his voice. "That's McKinnon's tactical philosophy. You're keeping him alive through them." Jordan's eyes stung, but no tears fell. He deserves to be remembered as more than how he died. "Agreed. And you're making that happen." Martinez's friends left eventually, duty shifts and family commitments pulling them away. Martinez lingered, nursing a soda. "Ma'am, can I ask about Yemen? I know it's classified."